Hello and welcome to this GSA Fixed Wireless Access Forum webinar on the results of this year's CPE vendor survey. The on-demand recording of this session will be shared with you immediately following the event. You can also download the presentation at any point by moving your mouse over the slides and clicking on the download icon in the top right of the screen. There will be time for questions following the presentation, so please submit any questions you have using the Q&A chat box on the right side of your screen, and we'll get to as many of them as we can at the end. A link to the survey report is also available for download from the GSA website, and we'll share a direct download link with you immediately following this event. Today we're joined by three speakers, Julian Grivola and John Yazle, respectively Chair and Vice Chair of the GSA 4G 5G Fixed Wireless Access Forum, and by Vaishali Purohit from the GSA research team, who led the analysis of the survey data. But first, I'll hand over to Julian to introduce today's webinar and the work of the forum.
Thanks a lot, Richard. So a warm welcome to our second webinar dedicated to what is, we all think, our top annual deliverable, the Fixed Wireless Access CPE market survey. I'm Julian Grivola, as Richard mentioned. I'm the chair of the GSA 4G 5G Fixed Wireless Access Forum, and I am also the European Director for Wireless Industry Development at Huawei. And so for those of you who have not attended our previous events, I will introduce quickly what we do at the forum. So let's start. We are very happy with the development of fixed wireless access that we are seeing those days. I mean, clearly, FWA is enjoying a very strong momentum. And we have seen last week with the new strategy update of T-Mobile in the US, for example, who announced new targets. This is clearly a testimony of that success. Nevertheless, we believe that there is still much to be done to further educate the industry, the operators, regulators, about the capabilities and benefits of 4G, 5G fixed wireless access technologies, the strength of this ecosystem, and the variety of devices and services that can be offered through those technologies. And our main objectives that you can see on the screen here remain perfectly valid. And today, with this webinar, we are trying really to contribute to achieve those objectives here that are listed. So with a particular focus on the promotion of the CPE products, the features and the trends we are seeing on the market for the next year. To go back to what the forum is all about, so this organization is a non-profit organization that we have created now almost 4 years ago in late 2020. We have the pleasure to benefit from the support of 57 companies. Most of them are involving in the different segments behind fixed wireless access, so infrastructure, CPE, module, chipsets, and software solutions. We can see that we have all the leading companies in those segments that are involved in the forum activities, which is greatly beneficial for all of us. Joining the forum is, of course, very easy, and we are welcoming any new members supporting the 4G, 5G fixed wireless access ecosystem and service development. And I think one thing I would like to highlight is, as you can see on the top right end of the slide, the CPE vendors are really taking the lion's share of our members. And this is actually a very good advantage of this organization. This is allowing us to do the CPE survey that we are going to present today to you with the 2024 results. We are leveraging, of course, this strength. And I will maybe hand over now to John Yazle. So John is the vice chair of the forum, but he's also the leader of the survey working group. So all the results you will see today is thanks to his hard work behind the scene to get the support from and contribution from all members. So John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Julian, and hi everyone. So my name is John Yazle. I'm driving the survey work at the Fixed Wireless Access Forum. On my day job, I'm also global head of Fixed Wireless at Ericsson. And here we want to highlight the results of this annual survey. It's the 5th is the fourth edition of the survey that we have done. And as you saw from the previous slide, we had over 40 members on the CPE part of the value chain. And this shows results of aggregate of 30 of those companies. Then, if you follow also the GSA fixed wireless reports, you see that there are more than 70 CPE providers globally. But of course, we believe that these 30 that answered, it's a significant representation of the 3GPP-based 4G and 5G fixed wireless device ecosystem. Then we are also including the name of all the 30 companies. So if you're following the market and want to see the differences between the different surveys, and of course, if you're an analyst and want to estimate the overall market, it's very important to understand what is included in these results. So you can make your own conclusions of the overall fixed wireless access market. Then if we go to the results, and these are aggregate results from all these companies. So here, if we start on the major shipments, you see that shipments for 2023 were 30.4 million, a growth of 2% compared to 2022. And these 30 companies estimate that their shipments will grow to over 37 million in 2024, over 20% annual growth. I think it's important, as you read on the report for 2023, we have seen impact of economic situation. We also know that some service providers had CPE inventories that they built during the COVID pandemic component shortages. So that explains a bit the growth rate we saw in 2023. But when we look at all the different 30 answers, majority of the providers had growth in the market. Then if we try to dig down a bit more on what is behind those numbers. So here I will start first with a highlight of the different form factors. So you see that those numbers represent a combination of battery pocket routers, which is about 25% of the shipments. Then indoor CPEs, they represent the large part of those shipments, around 60%. And then we see that outdoor CPEs, they have been growing during 2023 to reach 15%, and they are expected to maintain those 15% during 2024. So you see here the growth rates, and you see the growth rates also by different segments on the table supporting it. Then we want to give highlight for as part of the outdoor CPE segment. That one, we have a breakdown. We have been discussing a lot the emerging of the segment called flexible indoor-outdoor self-installed devices. And for the first time, we included that question in the survey. So during 2023, there were 1.6 million devices shipped on that category, and these are expected to grow to close to 2 million in 2024. So that's a exciting segment that we have seen as a trend. A lot of operators looking for this type of self-install window-mounted devices, and now we see also that trend materializing in shipment growth. So that's really exciting. Then we also have a breakdown of the device shipments by region. And we see here that we are showing the breakdown also compared to the other two previous surveys. And you see that it's a different number of respondents, and it's different a bit on the base. But I think some of the similar trends we see here, we continue to see the region Middle East and Africa being a large part of shipments. The last year, over 20%, 23%, that's the largest share of the shipments. Then we see a second group of countries around 15 to 17% of shipments, and that would include North America, Europe, China, and rest of Asia. So that's more or less similar size. And then on the other two regions, I think what is very exciting is to see that this time we start to see shipments for India included in this sample of CPE segments, and that is around 6% of the volumes were for India. So that's very promising. Then if we come to the, try to deep dive a bit more on the share of shipments that are related to 5G. We see 5G growth continue to accelerate. So even if the market from 2022 to 2023 was flat, you see that 5G had an 18% growth and more than 10 million devices shipped. And we expect that to grow, accelerate even further to reach over 15 million units in 2024. And you see that 5G fixed wireless devices would be over 40% of all device shipments in 2024. So that's very exciting. At the same time, we saw that there was somewhat decline in 4G shipments in 2023. So there is still some forecast for 4G shipments growth in 2024, but we see a clear trend of 5G taking a larger share of the market. So that's really exciting. Then if we want to cross the 5G shipments by region, so here we are showing that. So on the left side, we have a share of shipments that were 5G for a certain region. And you see that from a global average, it was 35%. But we see that the regions that are driving those 5G shipments are India, where 86% of the shipments were 5G, followed by North America, 65%, and then rest of Asia with 39%. And you see the pie chart showing that the 5G share, it's a bit more concentrated, and you see that North America gets 31% of the devices. I think what is interesting to see for those following compared to last year, it was primarily only one region, North America, driving this 5G shipment growth. But this year you see that 3 regions are really driving that higher share of 5G shipments. Then if I go for the even digging down further on the 5G, here we are showing the 5G millimeter wave capable devices. And here we see that millimeter wave continue to grow. So 2023 was around 700,000. And for 2024, that is expected to reach close to 900,000 devices. As a share of 5G, this is still a smaller part, and that is understood as millimeter wave spectrum has not been auctioned in several markets as the mid-band or C-band. So millimeter wave capable share of shipments for 5G, it's around, you see 7% in 2023 and 6% in 2024. So a share, but we see volumes continue to grow. I think if you look at on the survey also, we see that of the 30 CPE OEMs, 20% of those that answered the survey already have millimeter wave products, and another 23% are planning to launch millimeter wave products. So we see there over 40% of the companies have millimeter wave product portfolio in the making. So that's also encouraging. Then here, we, for the first time, include the questions around 5G SA capable. And I think that was very exciting to see that devices that are 5G SA capable, you see in 2023, 7 out of 10 million. And for 2024, 10 out of 15 million. So you see that around 70% of devices being SA capable. So we know that this is very exciting, and we know that fixed wireless can benefit a lot from SA capabilities, either for efficiency, improved performance, or features to enable even better fixed wireless monetization. So it's very encouraging to see that a large share of devices are SA capable. And then as part of SA, we know that one of the SA capabilities this is coming is the Redcap or reduced capability type of devices. And we know that these devices will play in several market segments, including IoT, wearables, but also could be part of some broadband type of devices, where we see fixed wireless or battery pocket routers taking some part of that segment. And when we asked the companies, are you planning to introduce Redcap capable fixed wireless devices in 2024, we see that over 60% have plans to do it. So I think that was very encouraging also. Then if I try to go a bit around the fixed wireless ecosystem and talking about the module and chipset. So this is a recurring question that we had compared to the previous two surveys. And you see here the different results. And I think from on the left side, regarding the modules strategy, I think there we see a more stable type of trend, where 50% of respondents have in-house development, and 47% are using more than one third party to do it. So I think that is a more or less similar trend. On the right side, we see maybe a gradual change of a growing number of CPE OEMs having more than one provider of chipset. So you see that that has grown from 78 to 83%. So a bit of change there. So some slight changes on that part of the ecosystem. Then we also had a similar question to the previous surveys regarding the CPE price trends. And that's a hard question, as we try to get perspective of when 5G CPEs will reach the price levels of 4G CPEs today. We know that 4G CPEs prices also decline, so that's more or less of a moving target. But I think what we have seen compared to the previous surveys is that previously, when answering this question in 2022 or 2023, a lot of companies were thinking more around 2025, so 2 years away. This answer this year, they are also thinking 2 years away. So you see that 40% believe that to be in 2026. So a bit not so many thinking that next year you're going to get that price, but more moving to 2026. But I think more or less similar picture of 2 years away, we're going to get a bit of a price decline. Then just to round off, and we try to highlight some of the top 10 key main messages for the CPE survey this year. And here you see that, again, 5G shipments expect to grow 23%, reaching 37 million. So very strong growth momentum. We also see that 5G really becoming mainstream, going to 40% of shipments in 2024. So that's very encouraging. And that 5G shipment growth, it is happening across several regions, including India, North America, and other parts of Asia Pacific. So we see that 5G broadening across several geographies. Majority of shipments are still on the indoor, but we see some new area segments growing, including the flexible self-install outdoor CPEs that are expected to reach around 2 million in 2024. Millimeter wave segment continues to grow, even if that is still a fraction of the overall 5G market. It's a growing market and close to reaching 900,000 shipments in 2024. Then we see standalone really being supported with around 70% of devices being SA capable, which is very encouraging. And Redcap also being an area of high interest, with over 60% of respondents saying that they will introduce 5G Redcap devices in 2024. Then we see that pricing trend, 40% believe 5G will reach 4G pricing in 2026. On the operator trends, again, window mount CPEs and self-install continue to be growing, so that we expect to see that momentum continue to grow. And then we had some questions around more the macroeconomics or component shortages. We don't see operators highlighting component shortages this time. Still, some believe there will be some inflationary pressures in 2024. So these are a quick overview of the survey. Now I think I will hand back to Julian, and also invite Vaishali for the Q&A part.
Thank you, John. We have received a few questions. I will just maybe take this opportunity first to remind the audience that there is the possibility to send questions using the question button. I will start with one that we have received regarding the millimeter wave shipments, John. And so the person is saying that millimeter wave shipments account for several percent. And there are two questions. Are the remaining 5G shipments all for sub-6 gigahertz frequencies? And the second one is, where do you expect, in which market do you expect an increase in 5G millimeter wave capable shipments this year or 25?
So good question. So on the first one, if around, let's say, 7% of the 5G shipments are millimeter wave, then the other 93% will be sub-6. So that's how you should read the survey. So majority of the 5G shipments are sub-6. Then on the second question, on the millimeter wave share per geography, we do not have that question on the survey. We know, as I mentioned, millimeter wave is still very concentrated to a fewer markets and fewer operators. So I think that is the better approximation. We don't have on the survey that geographical breakdown.
Thanks, John. I think as a transition, I mean, we just mentioned the sub-6 gigahertz case between sub-6 and millimeter wave. There is also a question about upper 6 gigahertz. If there is any insight we have on how this market will evolve in the coming years.
Yeah, so that it's a good point that you mentioned. I have not included here on the presentation, but in the survey, we have asked a new question regarding the upcoming upper 6 gigahertz spectrum. We know that is a spectrum that is coming, so it's not fully in the roadmaps for many countries. But I think when we asked the vendors on that, and we know that we are asking 30 companies, and there are many differences in terms of geography, in terms of size of these companies. But we were encouraged to see that 59% of them, they have some plans on that band. I think if I try to break down, 14% say that they plan to introduce devices in that spectrum band during 2025, 28% in 2026, and 17% in 2027 or later. So all of these combined for 59%. So we see that it's a upcoming spectrum band, but we see that the ecosystem is in a way ready to start supporting that.
Thank you. Maybe a question for Vaishali. We have a couple of questions about the methodology behind the survey. And actually, one participant noticed that there were some differences, for example, for 2022, compared, the numbers this year compared to last year edition. And maybe if you could explain, I mean, the challenges we are trying to address with our methodology, such as this one. I think you're on mute, Vaishali.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julian. So the survey is an annual activity that we do every year, and it's part of the GSA FWA Forum. And so data is collected between April to May among CPE members of the forum, and then questions and content of the survey are defined by these members. The data is collected, and it's confidential and anonymized. And then it's interesting to note that this year, the survey will have been done for the 5th consecutive year. In terms of shipment numbers changing from last year to this year, it's important to note that this year we had slightly more respondents, and so we had to take this into consideration. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. John, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think there's a question here, and I think it's really good that people are comparing the numbers between previous year and this year. So I think it is not only the total number of respondents, but also is the companies in itself. So when we are showing the numbers of shipments 2022, 2023, and 2024, this is for this sample of 30 companies. The last year number was for that sample of, I believe, 27 companies. So it's not apples to apples. That's why on the shipment data, we are talking about this sample of 30 companies. On the other questions, more qualitative on the trends on device form factor or type of module or roadmap. These ones we still compare the different samples, but for the shipments we are just showing the 30 companies we have for this survey.
So we have lots of questions now. We also have one question about the availability of the report. I think this one is an easy one, but John, can you handle it? And also maybe explain what is the difference between the report that can be downloaded for free and the full report of the survey that we are mentioning, in the external version of the report. So maybe it can convince more companies to participate and join the forum as well.
Exactly. So the slides that you are seeing today, this is reflecting the public report that was published last month, and you can download that the GSA website. It's about 7-8 pages written document. Then for the members and partners of the forum, they receive as a benefit for being a member or partner a full report with, if I'm showing here maybe 10 charts, they get a pack with around 40 charts and these questions plus some additional more detailed questions and insights. So it's a more comprehensive report that members get.
Maybe a final question, and then we will start to close the webinar. There is a question about, the scope of the survey. So currently, it looks like it's focusing on consumer residential type of end users. And so the question is there a plan maybe to expand to industrial applications, industrial routers type of connections? I don't know. Yeah. That's the question we have.
Yes. So I think that's also a relevant question, and I think for those that follow the GSA, and we have the Gambot database, we have multiple classes of devices, and I think this is a bit of a segmentation of the market. So here we are talking about fixed wireless devices, which is basic connectivity routers that could work for consumers or businesses. So that is included in the survey. But the more, let's say, sophisticated IoT or industrial routers, these are not covered on the survey. The GSA has other working groups working on private networks, for example. So this survey is primarily focused on the fixed wireless market.
Thanks, John. Okay, I will propose we stop now. There are still few questions. We will try to reply to them one by one in writing. We need to move on. So thanks a lot, John. Thanks, Vaishali. And many thanks, of course, to the audience for asking so many questions. Before we close the webinar, I just want to let you know about what we have been doing recently. So the survey, as we have just mentioned, this is available on the GSA website. You have all the links on this last slide. There are other activities that are very important to us, like the market report that has been published in June. We plan to update it in December. We do this, of course, twice a year. Then you can also access the on-demand replay of our latest webinar that was held in June. We have also, as we have explained before, we want to promote and explain the benefits of fixed wireless access. So we are also contributing from time to time to consultations from governments or like the European Commission. And recently we all contributed as a group to the European Commission Digital Infrastructure White Paper consultation. And you can also access the Fixed Wireless Access directory, which is basically a tool, an online tool that can allow you to browse among more than 200 fixed wireless access products from 25 vendors. You will see different capabilities listed, like the support of bands, specific bands, what kind of 3GPP release is supported, what type of devices, what type of frequency bands, etc., etc. And also, I would like to emphasize the fact that in 2 weeks from now, we will be participating to the Network X event, and we will be organizing an on-site fixed wireless access workshop. And so we are encouraging you, to join us in Paris if you can. And from my side and from the speaker's side, I think we would like to thank you for your participation. I will now hand over to Richard, who will maybe remind a couple of things on how to access the slides, for example. Richard?
Brilliant. Thank you, Julian. You've taken some of my best lines already, but never mind. So finally, just say thank you again to everyone for joining. As Julian said, you can see a lot of the resources here. Immediately after the event, you'll get an email with a link to the recording and also to a direct link to download the report as well. All the data, as John alluded to, is taken from a lot of the data is in the Gambot database. If you're interested in that and understanding all the data that's contained within the GSA databases, please do get in touch using the email on the screen. For the latest updates on GSA research and activities, you can follow us on LinkedIn, on Twitter or X, and on YouTube. And as Julian mentioned, our next event is an in-person workshop at Network X. And again, there's a link to that in the email that we will get immediately after this event. So with that, I just say thank you to our speakers and thank you to you all. And I hope to see you at a future event. Many thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.